all, I want to welcome you to Rockwall. I hope that you can see why we love our city so much, and why there are businesses that would want to come here and stay here and never leave. I would like to say that the water that you see out front is unfortunately not ours. That's the city of Dallas water, and we've got to hike all the way across town to get ours. But I have been out here a very, very long time, long enough to know that that lake filled up in about 7 days. There are still tractors and trees and everything underneath. Been out here 35 years, back in the day where you had 165 people that graduated from high school. You dialed the last 4 digits of the phone number, and there was just 2 lanes coming across Interstate 30. And so there's part of me that wants to really make sure that we keep Rockwall the charming community that it has always been, but yet have enough vision for growth. And so it's been a real pleasure to be able to help grow this community in a way that will be sustainable for the long run. And let me just kind of, first of all, let me get where I'm familiar with this. There we go. Let me give you Rockwall somewhat at a glance. Our population now is just a little bit over 37,000 people in the city and close to about 82 in the county. We're relatively small in size, but we are the smallest county in Texas, but the 3rd fastest growing county in the nation. We were #1 for job creation not too long ago, and we're rated #1 in the United States for being the best place to raise a family and to start a business. So we've got a lot to be proud of. One of the things that we have noticed is that we've been able to keep our taxes low for quite some time, which our taxpayers love that. But from an economic development standpoint, that makes it a bit challenging on our group because we've got to bring additional revenue in to broaden and diversify that tax base. Right now you'll see that our residential tax base is about $2.2 billion, and as of when we did this slide, which was about a week ago, we had a commercial and industrial tax base of about $950 million. And I kind of want to put that number in your head because I want to share with you the unbelievable growth we have had in the past 18 months. So that's about a 70-30 split, which quite frankly, you know, maybe if we got to 60-40, it would be great, but only if it's the right industry. Because you can see from the Rockwall community, we're proud of our community, our people don't want metal buildings and smokestacks, and they want to love their next door neighbors, and that's the type of industry that we want to bring in. You can see that our population from 2010 as a county was a little over 78,000, and we are looking to more than double by 2030. The city is right now at about 37,000, and in the next 8 years, we'll be at about 48,000. What I really think is great is that 97.9% of our students graduate from high school. And my thought was, well, gosh, how come it's not even more than that? And I realized that some of our surrounding cities, and if we've got, I will say that if we've got Allen, Frisco, Plano, McKinney, Greenville in here, all you guys are right up there with us. But some of these cities in the surrounding area may only have a 60% graduation rate from high school. Well, that kind of shocked me, but then I realized, wow, what a way to use that as a sales tool, because the businesses that we're talking to want to know, tell me about your housing, tell me about your school, tell me about your entertainment, shopping, retail, what can we get to? So I really think that this is great to bring out when you're trying to talk to people. But by the numbers from a sales tax revenue, we have been doing very, very well. We've been adding a lot of retail to our community, and our sales tax revenue from August to December in 2011 was up 8%. Our February sales tax revenue for 2012 is up 20%. So we are experiencing double-digit figures now as far as sales tax revenue, which is tremendous because the EDC that I'm responsible for is a 4A corporation, and we're funded off a half-cent sales tax. So that certainly gives us a little bit more money to offer incentives and to bring businesses in. Now, I mentioned earlier that we have about $950 million in commercial and industrial tax base. In the past 18 months, we've been able to do $130 million worth of industrial projects. Thank you, Greg. And you know, it is just one of those things that you lay down in bed, you pray real hard at night, and you get up and you start thinking, okay, now who can we talk to? But I look at it that economic development is not hard, it's just sales. And you know, if you're a salesman, you can sell anything. And if you got a great product, it makes it even better. And so Rockwall, I believe, is an all-around great product, and fortunately, there are some others that agree with me. You've had an opportunity to be down here at the harbor. Let me tell you just a little bit about what's going on. Harbor Heights is going to be Rockwall's corporate coast. You may, if you went to Culpeppers or the Orr House last night, you may have seen some dirt moving on the hill, new infrastructure going in. That's where you're going to see 2 or 3 corporate towers, which is going to be great because we really don't have any Class A office space, but we do want to be the home for corporate headquarters. So we're going to have about and that's the rendering right there, which will tie in to everything here at the harbor. There's a lot of places to work in Rockwall. There are a lot of people that own their own businesses here. Presbyterian Hospital was built by a group of doctors from Baylor and Presby in Dallas because they didn't want to continue to make the drive every day. So you've got Presbyterian and a medical corridor here in Rockwall that is absolutely exploding. L3 has been moving a lot of their business from Greenville to Rockwall and setting up in the technology park, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Our housing is very diverse, which makes it great. You can drive straight out 205 and hit 549, and there will be horses in people's front yards. There is lakeside living, as you've seen it, right down here at the harbor. You've got ranch estates, you've got apartments, you've got homes right on the water. So we've got a very, very diverse housing market, which makes it attractive for all kinds of people. Our entertainment district is one of my most favorites because starting in May through August, we will have a free concert on the lake every Thursday night down here at the harbor. There's an amphitheater that was built to accommodate those kinds of entertainments and those kinds of venues. And we'll probably have 5,000 to 6,000 people down here in the evenings. They're bringing their picnic baskets, they're bringing their blankets, you bring your own bottle of wine, set up your cooler, bring your dogs, the kids are running. It is the balance that I was talking about of keeping Rockwall just as charming as we want it to stay. There was, we were fortunate to have, do I have any American Idol watchers out there? A few. Anybody remember Jason Castro? Doll, wasn't he cute? Okay. Anyway, he's from Rockwall. He's from Rockwall, and we actually go to church together, and he went to A&M. And he came over on the big sailboat that was out in the lake, and I mean, you would have thought the president was coming because there were 10,000. We literally shut down City Hall. We had all the police and fire out here, and we had 10,000 people, helicopters flying over. You know, it was really, really cool. And then he put on a concert for us. So there's always a lot going on. Farmers market on our downtown square, lots of shopping, entertainment. Very, very much a kid-friendly, family-friendly city. Now, as far as relaxation, we've got people doing crazy things on the lake. That one on the top happens to be my older son a couple of years ago. Had no idea he could do that, much less keep his hat on while he did it. But anyway, we will go out there on the water and you can ski, you can inner tube, you see boats just parking. When we do the concerts on the lake, You literally can walk boat to boat, and you see some of the same friends, and that becomes Thursday night date night. You just kind of pull up your boat, or you get your picnic basket, and down you go. We've got 2 beautiful, beautiful golf courses. Did anyone play Buffalo Creek the other day? Okay, I should have had a cooler out on 13, sorry. We moved out there probably 20 years ago, and it is a beautiful, beautiful course. And the Shores Country Club is north of town, and they will be opening in July of this month. I had mentioned to you earlier that we have some large businesses coming in. Our businesses primarily have a home in the Rockwall Technology Park. Years ago, the Rockwall EDC took the half-cent sales tax and bought 365 acres. So that, you know, and that really is a huge advantage, because when we're looking at being able to bring in the kinds of industries we're wanting to bring in, we're not having to deal with a third-party landowner. So that, I will say, is a huge plus. And so we, to give you an idea, this 40 acres that was just sold here, you're going to see Bimbo Bakery USA setting up their headquarters here. They're the ones that just bought Sara Lee and Ora Wheat and Mrs. Beard's Bread. So, and some of the others are in oil and gas, aerospace and defense, and power and energy. George Bush Toll Road just opened up, which opened up a whole new world to us as far as being able to attract a highly skilled, educated workforce. We've always been able to attract from about a 30-mile radius because people want to have the quality of work life here in Rockwall. So they don't mind driving. Well, with George Bush opening, people can get wherever they need to go in a very, very short amount of time. So these companies have realized that. These are the people that we do have in the park. You'll see that the ones that are asterisked are the new ones coming in 2012. So when you talk about bringing businesses in, the worst thing do y'all see nail salons coming and going and little boutiques coming and going? And I think, oh my gosh, if that ever happened in a big, large industry, when you paid a lot of incentive money to get them here, and then they pull out, that's a bad thing. That would be huge. So one of the things that we want to do when we're attracting business is think about what are going to be the sustainable industries that are going to not only fit within our community, be good neighbors for our residents that live here, but also be the type of industries that are going to be here 10 years from now. So we've looked at, you know, what is a sustainable community? You know, John mentioned sustainable. It means something different to everyone. I didn't realize that sustainable was not a very popular word until yesterday. I thought, well, what's wrong with sustainable? Why does that have a negative connotation? And I don't know that I really got an answer that I agreed with. But triple bottom line is another thing that we take a look at. What is it going to be doing for our people? What is it going to be doing for the city that we have here? And what kind of ROI are we going to be getting on the businesses that we bring in? So we've really kind of looked at, first of all, what is the makeup of our community? What is our demographics? What are the people that live here? What type of businesses would they want to see here? Well, in our community, they're going to want to see pretty much white collar, highly educated, sustainable industries. And so we've narrowed it down to really 3. The medical industry is always going to be here, with people living longer and lots of different body parts being manufactured. In fact, there's a huge I am not kidding. Let me tell you about this. I walked into the Hilton has a training facility, a 6,000 square foot training facility right down the hall past registration. And I walked in there one day to check it out if I ever needed to use it, and I opened a closet that I thought was maybe going into another room. There are body parts hanging everywhere, arms, legs, joints, because they have a regular training that they do here for Stryker Medical, and they've got to learn how to put all these things together. And I thought, wow, okay, that was kind of interesting. So medical is going to be around forever. We've got several hospitals, lots of medical office buildings going up. Aerospace and defense, I wish this were not as big as it is, but as long, for the rest of our life, defense is going to be huge. Energy is always going to be big. We've got to figure out how we sustain where we are and also make plans for the future. When the gentleman spoke yesterday about water, you know, great, we've had a lot of rain lately, but that just brought us up right to where we used to be. And just in our own water, our lakes go down an inch a day just because of evaporation. Well, what happens come June, July, August, September when there is no rain? So we've got to really start thinking about, well, how do we save that? How do we keep going? Anyway, and I'm not going to read all this to you, but Rockwall adopted a green action plan. And what was amazing to me is that they've gotten the community involved and the businesses involved. And this was just in the month of March that they recycled a total of 132 tons of commodity. I mean, pounds of air pollution. They saved 7,130 pounds. So it just goes to show that if you saving 17 trees and 3 cubic yards of landfill, there's a whole lot that can be done, but it does take a green initiative. And it takes a council that will support it and see that it's important. And after listening to yesterday, if we don't start thinking about the water, that could be really scary. I mean, really scary. Quality of work life in our park, we realize that we currently have about 1,200 employees that work there. With the additional businesses coming in, that's going to go up substantially. So what we have created is a quality of life master plan with walking trails and detention and retention ponds with fountains that will have picnic tables so people can go outside and take their laptops if they want to. We'll have wireless stations outside, under trees, and we're wanting to be able to make their time that they are at work enjoyable. I mean, if we had an ability to go outside and conduct this without everything blowing around, I would much rather be outside by the water. And a lot of people in the middle of the day just need to get up and take a walk around their building. So we are putting walking trails in and have really adopted these 6 basic strategies for sustainable economic development. Use the resources we have just as efficiently as possible. Use local resources. We are big about taking care of our own. If we can get something locally, I would so much rather bid that to somebody that has a family here and pays taxes here and is part of our community. Making sure that we are investing in sustainable infrastructure. There's so many times that I've seen these little Band-Aid roads go in and it's like, why'd you do that? We're just gonna have to redo it again in, 2 years. Well, we needed it for the time. Well, good gosh, be a little bit more forward thinking on a master plan. Creating a business, providing services, and I would say that probably number 6 has been the one that has helped us be so as successful as we are. Define who our community is, define who we want as neighbors, what do we want to look like, how do we want to grow, and what do we want our character and our chemistry to be, and then pick industries that complement that. Obviously the payoffs are huge. People are going to see that they do have quality of life, quality of housing, quality of work, and sustainable industry, and that we are going to be able to not only attract great businesses, but retain them and help them grow once they're here. In fact, 235,000 square feet that we did this year was in expansion. So that's always good when you can retain a business and they don't have to go elsewhere. And that is my more than 15-minute presentation, I'm sure, but I would be happy to answer any questions if you have them. Any questions, comments?
Hey, Sheri.
Yes, Greg.
What was the, I'm sure you had maybe a political base here that was against or maybe didn't understand the sustainable green movement, if you will. How did you overcome some of that because I can tell you in our community, we have a large contingent that very, conservative, Republican, this is a bunch of government bahooey, and by gosh, you're not gonna do it in our town, so.
Well, let me, as far as sustainable industry, and sustainable infrastructure, I will tell you that we just passed $100 million bond package and for roads. And let me tell you how that went. The county commissioners kind of spearheaded it. They then got a task force of city leaders together, not city council, but city leaders, centers of influence, educated those centers of influence, then put those guys out there to speak at Rotary, to talk to different nonprofits, to get in front of, the Republican Women's Club, Friends of the Library, and it was an education process. Now, I will tell you that, I'm gonna ask Irene Hatcher with our conservative energy group to come up here from the city for just a minute, because I think it's interesting to hear what she has to say, and this is not, I'm gonna give her full reign to be not politically correct because none of her bosses are in here. But we were talking the other day about water, and I'm like, okay, this is really great. We've got all this water, and she said, yes, but now we're no longer on water restriction. And I said, why? Our people have gotten used to this. Why wouldn't we continue to stay on a water restriction? And she said, well, there are politics involved. And I said, well, I want to know what those are, because it doesn't really make sense to me, but I really would like to know if our people have gotten used to cutting back on water and we got so close to being dry without any water, it seems to me that we ought to start stockpiling it, right? Does that seem, okay, so explain kind of what you told me standing out in front of City Hall yesterday.
Thought that was a private conversation, but that's good. Our main issue is the drought. We were losing the water through the evaporation, and the forecast was not to have any more water, any rain coming in any substantial amount to replenish our supply. So we went into stage 3 water restrictions with North Texas Municipal Water District, and we followed their recommendations to do once every other week watering and all these other I won't go into, but since the water supply has come back with the amount of rain, we've gotten almost 12 inches of rain since November. We got 5 3/4 inches of rain just in March. So our supply has come up, and our issue now is Lake Texoma still has zebra mussels, and so we can't pump water out of that lake, which is 28% of our water supply that we have for 61 cities. When we got all this rain, Lake Lavon got overfilled, and the conservation pool was a foot over conservation pool, which means if we got another substantial rain, it would flood the community around the lake. So the Corps of Engineers came in and said we have to open the floodgates essentially and let the water out. Well, we're still telling our residents we can't water except for once every other week. So huge pushback came to, why can't we water instead of letting the water out? Why can't we just water our lawns and use the water that way? Because when we open the gates, unfortunately that water goes to this lake, Lake Ray Hubbard, which is Dallas water. So we're essentially taking our water and giving it to Lake Ray Hubbard, and it doesn't benefit us at all. So through all of the pushback from all the different cities and all the regulations, they have decided to let everybody water once a week, and not between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. for evaporation purposes in the summertime. If they're trying to build a pipeline going from Lake Texoma directly to the treatment plant in Wiley to avoid the zebra mussels getting into our water supply. The problem is there's a law, federal law called the Lacey Act, that prohibits anybody to transport the zebra mussels, which is an invasive species, across state line. So they redrew the state line in Oklahoma and Texas, and when they did that, they put the water pump on the Oklahoma side. So now North Texas has to go and fight that and try to get an amendment to that law, which has never happened before. They've never amended it to ease the restrictions, just to include more invasive species in it. So our issue now is not a drought issue, it's a supply issue, which won't end. It'll take 2 years to build the pipeline, and the federal government is blocking with the Lacey Act. So our issue is if everybody starts watering and the evaporation rate comes and we don't get water in the summertime, if we don't get rain in the summertime, our depletion will go for the remaining lakes that we have water from.
So, there you go. At the end of the day, it's all political, or a lot of it anyway. Thank you for your time.
Well, if there's any doubt in anybody's mind, this water issue is complicated. You just answered that question right there. And we're going to have the most unbelievable period because they're saying it's not going to rain a whole lot, so it's going to be interesting. But moving right along, we'd like to introduce Ray Dunlap, the Executive Director of the City of Fairview. Ray brings the best of many worlds. He's been in business and management for national sales organizations. They have 4A and 4B, and he has been with the City of Fairview for a number of years. And with that, the podium is yours.
Thank you. I think God blessed me with enough of a voice that I won't need a microphone. It's kind of unusual that I would be speaking this morning at a Growing Green seminar, because 10 years ago, if you had told me that I would be speaking on green initiatives, I would say, why am I going to hang out with a bunch of pinko, commie-loving tree huggers? That just wouldn't fit well. However, being in economic development and being in sales and also being smart enough to realize trends and the economic value, it makes sense. So I'm glad today to represent the town of Fairview. Just to give you a little brief overview, we are small. Our 2010 census was 7,248. We are about, depending on who you talk to, between 9 and 12 square miles. We share a southern border with the city of Allen, a northern border with McKinney. Our eastern border is Army Corps of Engineer land on Lake Levine, and we have a little bit of Lucas. We're pretty much landlocked, and we're not going to grow anymore. Our build-out population is about 14,000. Yet there are some unique things about Fairview. We were incorporated in 1958. So we're now be 54 years old this year. And Fairview, though, people moved to Fairview to be something else. They moved to Fairview. Our growth, our population was around 3,000 in 2002, so we've more than doubled in the last 10 years. And people moved to Fairview because they didn't want to be Plano. They didn't want to be McKinney. They didn't want to be Dallas. And they moved for something different. We built a new town hall about a year and a half ago, and if you've ever been to Fairview and seen our old town hall, which was a house from the 40s or 50s that had been added on to a couple of times, and we literally had snakes and rats and, you know, all kinds of guests. So now we've got a nice, beautiful stone and glass building that actually is not LEED certified, but it's LEED qualified, because when it really comes to green initiatives, isn't the result more important than the standard? And if you're here from Leeds, I'm not here to step on your toes, but why spend $25,000 in taxpayer money for a piece of paper when the objective is to be doing the right things anyway? So we have this beautiful town hall. We have grown. And so people want something different, and they move to Fairview for that aspect. In our new town hall, if you stand up in the conference room on the 4th floor, if there's anybody here from our neighbors, Alan, we love you, you're great. I don't want to tick anybody off, but if you look out down, Stacy Road divides Allen and Fairview. And if you look to the right and you see the city of Allen, you see rooftop, rooftop, rooftop. If you look to the left, and you see Fairview, you see trees, and an occasional rooftop. Now, why did we start with 1 acre lots? Well, kind of interesting. 1 acre is the minimum in Texas that you can have septic systems. And because of the expense of building the infrastructure for a sewer system, the town fathers at the time designed 1 acre lots and greater so that you have your own sewer system. Only when we built an active adult community around 2000, 2001, thereabouts, called Heritage Ranch. It's 1,144 houses. That's the first time we had sewer in town. We contract with North Texas Municipal Water District for water and sewer. And so the political will to be a green town is there. In fact, our town has 3 goals. Number 1, excellence. As staff, we're not going to be perfect, but to be excellent. Unfortunately, we're losing our town manager. The city of Paris lured him away, and he's driven a lot of this over the last 10 years. Number 2 is that we want to be a technologically advanced community, and number 3, we want to be environmentally friendly. So here are some of the things that we've done as a community. I believe in economic development. Sheri's points up there, number 6, is near and dear to my heart, because her number 6 is the foundation. I've got a real simple philosophy in economic development, because like she said, for those of you that are not in economic development, you're here for the growing green, we're nothing but glorified salespeople. Now, we don't want that to get out to boards and councils and stuff. You know, we're kind of like the Wizard of Oz, if there's something magic. But we're salespeople, and a good salesperson has to have a product in which he or she believes. And then when you believe in your product, then you can sell it. And that's what I do. I sell the Town of Fairview because I believe in it. I believe in what we do. So, number 1 rule of economic development is know who you are. And then the number 2 rule of economic development is be who you are to the absolute best of your ability. So you got to know who you are and then be who you are. And let me give you an example. I understand there's a lot of Aggies in here. You know, just so you know, I bleed burnt orange. And however, if either one of my daughters wanted to be an engineer, I'd send them to A&M. If they want to be a veterinarian, I'd send them to A&M. If they want to play football, I'd send them anywhere else. But you got to know who you are and be who you are. So in Fairview, we kept it real simple. We started with 1-acre lots, aerobic septic systems. Most of our streets have bar ditches. We don't have curb and gutter that flow things. We have bar ditches so that most of the rainwater that comes off can be managed and can soak back into the ground. We collect a drainage fee for both commercial and residential, and fortunately over the last 10 years we've been able to increase our drainage fund. For the last year we actually lowered the residential part. We kept the commercial drainage fees the same, but we lowered the residential drainage fees on their water bills. So we've got bar ditches. We also developed for residential a green building standard. If you build a house in Fairview today through our building permit process, and I'm kind of an anomaly because we are small, our town manager believes in efficient government. There's not a department head that doesn't multitask. I report to the town manager, and I've got economic development, I've got community development, I've got the parks department, the building permit department works for me, the utility billing, the water permit, which I'll just tell you a quick aside, yeah, we need to conserve water, but also from a municipal standpoint, we like the revenue. So, you know, we don't exactly want to have to raise taxes because we quit selling as much water, so it's kind of that trade-off in there. I'm over health inspections and some other things, so I'm kind of the generalist on the group, and you go, well, what do those have to do with each other? Well, most of them tie back to economic development and promoting the town. So when we got ready to build our new town hall, we took our own ordinances into consideration. We built our town hall to be LEED qualified. We've got our HVAC is geothermal. We've got geothermal wells drilled all around the property. We put in glass that is resistant to heat. Causes a little bit of glare. Now, as one who's also in charge of building maintenance, some of the stuff that we did that drives me batty that I'm not really sure yet how environmentally friendly it is. We got the automatic flush toilets and the lights that go on and off, but the problem is that when you get those lights that go off automatically, people kind of forget to turn them off, and so you burn the energy a little bit longer than you should. But our thermostats within the building are programmable, so we can, warm the building when we're programming for it to go off when we're not using it, and program it to be on during the time of the day. And so those are some of the features that we put into our town hall, because again, we wanted to be a leader in environmental awareness. Now, along about 2006, we started an economic development agreement with the MG Herring Group to build a mixed-use lifestyle center. If you've been up there, the village at Fairview and the village at Allen, and just to clear the record, the project started in Fairview and spilled to Allen. We were the genesis, and it went to Allen. And as part of this, when we do economic development agreements in Fairview, they're always back-end loaded. We don't put the taxpayers on the hook for anything. If a developer comes in, and which is the really great thing about having a community that knows who they are and where they want to go, and there are a lot of similarities with Rockwall. These are the things our people want, and if you don't fit that, we're really not interested in talking to you. When a developer comes in and goes, hey, we want incentives, we're like, great, pay for it up front, and we'll do a 380 agreement with you, and you can get your money back. Because if your project's really that good and it'll do what you say it will do, then you'll be willing to do that. If you want us to front-end load it, then it's probably not as good as you think it is, and we probably don't need to do a deal with you. And that way, we're not on the hook for anything. So when they came in, we needed some infrastructure. One of the things that we needed was a road to connect in our commercial development district. We have about 800 acres of the town that's designated for commercial development. Our residents are very specific. Plus or minus an acre to Greenville Avenue, Highway 5 is the dividing line. If it's west of Greenville, it can be commercial. If it's east of Greenville, it's residential. They don't want a doctor's office. They do not want anything east of Greenville Avenue except for one little piece that's already there. That's not residential. So we needed a road to go through the commercial district to help fuel future growth. It's one of these things that just happened to work out. At the time we were designing the road and designing lighting, a salesperson from Synovia showed up with this LED light concept. One of our environmental features is that we have a dark sky ordinance where the light's not allowed to trespass. If you're ever flying over at night, and I've actually done this, and you're on the northern approach pattern going to either Love or DFW, and you're coming from somewhere in the northeast, and you fly over this dark hole in the metroplex that's surrounded by light, that's Fairview. Because our light fixtures have to be full cut off, light's not allowed to trespass upward. And so when we sat down with this company, they designed a light feature for Fairview. If you go to Synovia, it's their Evolucia lighting, you'll see the Fairview Bell series. And it's named after Fairview, Texas. Full cut-off lights, and so they came in with LED lights, and so Fairview, little old Fairview, 7,248 people, has the first street in Texas that was built and lit exclusively with LED lights. Now there are some great environmental features for that. Is that if you have a lighting engineer, if you do it right, get you a good Aggie lighting engineer, and have them design your patterns, and our light goes and it cuts off because we don't want light trespass. If you go down our road, and you'll find things online because people have used the pictures for marketing purposes. We've got a sidewalk that goes down, outside the sidewalk, dark. Inside the sidewalk, light. It directs the light. The energy savings are tremendous. We spent a little bit more money up front. Actually, we didn't spend it, the developers spent it. And if they, make the revenue under a 380 agreement, they get paid back. If they don't, hey, we got some free lights. Great way to do economic development agreements. But the payback is in about 3 years. The energy savings alone will pay for the difference between putting in high pressure sodium or metal halide lighting in. So we have LED lights to go in. When the MG Herring Group built this development, it is a true mixed-use development. We have residential standalone, we have residential above retail, we have government in there, and we have a lot of empty nesters, and we have a lot of young professionals that are moving in because Fairview, just to back up a little bit, we're limited in the number of apartments that you can have in town. We have a capped by ordinance number of apartments. There are only 2 places in town left that you can build apartments. Because again, from a planning perspective, we've managed the density. Density's higher toward the center, less going out. And so with this mixed use development, we have a lot of young professionals that are moving in because you don't have to drive. We have the first grocery store ever in Fairview was a Whole Foods. Whole Foods is a very good environmental partner. They contribute greatly to the surrounding community. Our very first bowling alley was a place called Splitsville. So from a development standpoint, in Fairview, you have young professionals that have moved in. We've got a trail system, so they can walk, they can go eat, they can go drink, and our police department's usually not going to give them a DUI if they're walking across the parking lot. So it has become a very sustainable area there. Now, what are the benefits from an economic development standpoint? Well, from economic development, we, just like Sheri said with Rockwall, in Fairview, we don't want smokestacks, we don't want metal buildings, we don't want noisemakers. We want office buildings, we want retail. We are looking into the possibility of developing a business incubator because again, it's clean, and the types of technology that we're going after there are medical, high tech, those sort of things, because they fit with our community value. I'm working on a project right now that a gentleman was looking at several different sites. His project fits in to the things that we want, and when I meet with a prospect, one of the first things that I do is get everything out in the open. Here are our building standards. We have probably about that thick if you printed it out, but because we're environmentally friendly, we put it on a compact disk or a flash drive, so we don't waste the trees. But we have architectural standards, we have hardscape standards, we have landscaping standards. So before we even get into a conversation, I go, these are our standards, and if these are amenable to you, then I'm certainly willing to talk to you. If these are not amenable to you, then we're probably not the community where you want to locate your business. And so, an advantage for that, some of you think, wait a minute, you want to drive something away. No, go back to number 1, know who you are. Number 2, be who you are to the best of your ability. And when I sit down with those people, I've had people that tell me, you know what, this is where we want to be, because if I'm going to invest my money to build my business in your community, I want to know that what's surrounding me is not going to be junk in 10 years. And so there are some advantages to that. So I know that we're running out of time here, but I just want to wind it down by telling you that just like when I opened, 10 years ago, if you had said you need to be dealing with green initiatives, I would have said it was a bunch of commie, liberal, tree hugging, whatever. But I'm about as libertarian as they get. And the final point that I want to make is that when it comes to the environment, when it comes to sustainable development, I don't think it should be a federal initiative. I don't think it's the federal government's business, and I don't think they ought to be spending federal money on it. Number 2, I don't think it's a state initiative, and I don't think they ought to be spending state money on it. But I do believe that it is a local initiative because I believe that communities should decide who they are and what they want to be. Now, I believe that as professionals in the various industries, that we have a responsibility to educate people. And I think what Rockwall did was absolutely fantastic. You want to get it done, don't get the elected officials, get the people that are leaders in the community involved, and educate Joe citizen to the advantages of doing things environmentally friendly. And if you do that, and if you keep it on a local level, then your community can be who you want it to be to the best of your ability. So, thank you.